In this video, you're going to learn the 3 simple steps to produce the subjunctive for regular verbs in Spanish. Hola estudiantes, Dave here from myteacherdave.com, where we help junior cert and leaving cert students of Spanish reach their potential and ultimately enjoy great success in their state exams. This video is the second video in a series all about the subjunctive for leaving cert students. We're going to break this video up into 3 different sections. The first will be a nice little overview introduction to the topic. The second is where we will go a little bit deeper, with more detailed explanations. And the last then, we will just have a couple of examples from past papers where the subjunctive was used. Again, we are talking in this video only about conjugating regular verbs of the subjunctive in the present tense. Bueno, estudiantes, vamos a trabajar. Let's get to work. So the first thing, guys, is to get a general overview, a general introduction into the topic of conjugating regular verbs in the subjunctive in the present tense. You can see here that I have a nice flower, una flor bonita, to represent the subjunctive, because we kind of build up a flower, don't we? We have the root, we have a stem, and then we have the petals to finish the flower off. Well, it's the same kind of idea for producing our subjunctive. So step 1 is we would start with the root, and the root for the subjunctive, the starting point for the subjunctive, is the normal present tense, the yo part of the verb, or if you like, the I part of the verb. Step 2 couldn't be any easier. You simply cut off the O. You know, if we have a verb like hablo, vivo, como, for example, well, we'd simply cut off that O at the end, and that's step 2. That's your stem sorted. And then we have the last thing then for the flower are petals. And in this case, our petals are the endings, yeah? But for the subjunctive, the endings are the opposite of what we would normally expect. Now, we will unpack this in more detail in the next section, but this is just the overall introduction, just to kind of get you up to speed a little bit with this. So let's have a look at these 3 on our image here of our flower. So we have our root, then we have our stem, and then we have our petals at the end. We're going to use 2 regular verbs to help us with this part of the video. Really common verb, you all know, beber, the verb to drink, and a very common verb, but maybe not as common as beber, but a super common verb in its own right, the verb cantar, the verb to sing. Beber, 100% regular ER verb, and cantar, 100% regular AR verb. You'll notice that I have everything color coded as well. So we have our ER verbs here, beber, in this kind of dark pink purple color, and we have our regular AR verbs, verb cantar, over here in this blue color. So the colors will help us as we go through this class. So let's have a look at these 2 verbs on our flower. Let's build up our subjunctive for each of these 2 verbs. So as we said, we have our root. Our root is the yo, or the I part of the normal verbs in the present tense. That gives us bebo and canto. Step 2, our stem, as we said, is we simply cut off the O at the end, and our verbs are primed now. They're ready to go. So we have babe and cant. And the last thing then is we have to pop on our endings. And as we said, the endings are the opposite of what we would normally expect. So for our regular verbs in the Aor, which is in blue, we have our endings, funny enough, A for I, ace, A, emos, ace, and N. For our regular verbs in the Eor category, we have a, as, a, amos, ice, an. So just to take two examples of these two verbs completed, yeah, in the subjunctive, we would get cante and beba. Now, for those of you who are seeing this for the first time, this might look really, really strange. It looks like it's spelled wrong. It's not. It's perfect for the subjunctive. Now we are going to go into more detail now in a few minutes for this. So don't worry if this is new to you and it's a little bit confusing at the minute about opposite endings and that kind of thing. We're going to clarify all of that 100% for you. You will know exactly what's going on. One last thing I would say here, guys, you might notice we never, ever, ever in the subjunctive have O. Yeah, just if you're ever stuck, if you're doing exams, if you're doing writing and you want to write in the subjunctive for yourself, you never put O. That's a golden rule. Yeah. So no O for the first person singular for the I part in the subjunctive. Okay, guys, so that's your initial introduction to the subjunctive, how to form the subjunctive um, in the present tense in Spanish. But we need to kind of unpack this a little bit more because I would suspect for many of you watching this video that the concept of opposite endings is probably a new thing. So let's just unpack that a little bit. To do that, we're just going to go right back to basics. This is right back to, you know, your first year, your junior cert level. We know that Spanish has three main categories of verbs. Verbs that end in AOR, verbs that end in EOR, and verbs that end in IOR. For verbs that end in AOR, the most common letter in the endings is A, you know, not surprisingly. So we would have the endings of O, as, a, amos, ice, and an. For the categories of EOR and IOR verbs, the most common letter in the endings is E. So that gives us, for EOR verbs, O, ace, a, emos, ace, n. And for IOR verbs, O, ace, a, emos, is, and n. So you can see that the most common letter for these categories of verbs, the EOR and IOR verbs, is E. And for the AOR verbs is A. Now that's in the normal present tense. To make the subjunctive, all you have to do is put those in the opposite categories, just to move them across. So these guys, what you're looking at now, are the two full sets of endings in the subjunctive present tense. So for AOR verbs, we now have A, ace, A, emos, ace, N. Another great thing about the subjunctive in the present tense is that EOR and IOR verbs are actually the same. It's one category, so two for the price of one here. So your endings for the subjunctive in the present tense for EOR and IOR verbs are a, as, a, amos, ice, an. That's it. It's as simple as that. Now, if I were you, I would pause the video now and I would take this information down. This is going to be crucial for you as we progress through this video tutorial. Muy bien, estudiantes. Vamos a ver más ejemplos de estos verbos. Yeah, so we're going to see more examples of these verbs. Again, we're talking about 100% regular verbs. We have comer, the verb to eat, estudiar, the verb to study, vivir, the verb to live, and comprar, the verb to buy. So here we are. That's all our endings for the verb comer: coma, comas, coma, comamos, comáis, and coman. For estudiar, we have estudie, estudiéis, estudié, estudiemos, estudiéis, and estudien. For vivir, we have viva, vivas, viva, vivamos, viváis, and vivan. And the last one, comprar, exactly like estudiar, we in terms of endings, we have compre, compres, compre, compremos, compréis, compren. So what have we done so far, guys? We have completed 2 jobs basically out of the 3 jobs that we want to do in this video. The first one, a general overview of what's going on. We then went a little bit deeper into the concept of opposite endings. And now all we have to do is kind of pull apart, examine 2 examples from past papers. So, chicos, vamos a ver los exámenes pasados. So let's go and see some past papers. Again, we have our 3 steps. It's always the same 3 steps. Really, really simple, really systematic. And when we have a little bit of systematicity in our verbs, it makes it much easier for us. We don't have to remember absolutely every single verb themselves. Rather, the process, that kind of like an umbrella process that will get us through loads of them. Muy bien. So we have first example. I think this was from a note 2017. We have espero que, and we know from our previous video, guys, if you haven't seen that, that this is a classic trigger. You remember from Weirdo, the uses that tell us exactly those situations where we need to use the subjunctive. And this is a classic. Espero que, I hope that. Espero que mi amiga me, and then we have the full verb here, not conjugated yet, visitar, aquí en España. So what we're trying to achieve basically is, I hope that my friend visits me here in Spain. Again, we know with normal, regular verbs, verbs in the normal tense, not the subjunctive, just in the normal present tense, they have their A, don't they, in all of the vast majority of the endings. Our next sample is es posible que. Again, it's one of those triggers, classic triggers for the subjunctive. Es posible que los precios de las casas, and then we have the verb subir. So it's possible that the prices of the houses, and subir is to go up. Now with various ways we could say this sentence in English. It's possible that house prices, that's another possibility. It's possible that house prices will go up, or it's possible that the prices of the houses will go up, that kind of thing. We know this is an IOR verb in the present tense. Normal verbs, we know that the most common ending or letter in the ending is E. Again, just to repeat, when we're going into the subjunctive, we need to use the opposite endings to those that we would normally expect. So let's do that. So we're well set up now. We know we're in the subjunctive. This is an AOR verb. All our endings are going to have an E in them. So step one, we know, is the yo part, the normal yo or I part of the verb in the present tense. In this case, it's visito. Step two, we'll remove that O and we're primed. We have our verb primed now. And step three, then we'll just put on the appropriate ending, which is the opposite of what we'd normally expect for AOR verbs. In this case, it'll have an E, as we said. And of course, it's going to be E itself, visite. Muy bien. Just to clarify again, guys, why is it that we have E here? Well, we have 6 options basically, don't we, when we're conjugating verbs. The top 3 are always singular and the bottom 3 are always plural. So why did we choose this guy here? Well, we know we're talking about mi amiga. Yeah, so straight away, you might remember from our previous class that mi amiga is the doer of the action of visiting, or as we say, is the subject of the verb to visit. Mi amiga is singular, it's only her. So we're not interested in any of these bottom 3. These don't actually do anything for us here, yeah? It's one of these top 3 because these are all singular. It's only one friend. Okay, go a little bit deeper. Well, it can't be I. This is the first one, the first person singular, the yo or the I part, because it's not me. It's my friend, it's not me. It's not the second person singular you, because we're not talking about you either. So there's only one possibility left, and it has to be this one. Yeah, so that's how we came to this. Muy bien. Espero que mi amiga me visite aquí en España. I hope my friend visits me here in Spain. Muy bien. Moving on then to the other sentence we have here. We know that our very first job is to start with the verb in the normal yo part in the present tense. And for the verb subir, that's subo. I go up, but that's no use to us. We need to continue on. So we need to take away, for step 2, we need to take away that O. And then we need to put in our opposite ending here for this verb. Okay, so that gives us suban. Es posible que los precios de las casas suban. Okay, let's go a little bit deeper now. We know that that's perfect, no problem. But let's go a little bit deeper as to why it's perfect. Again, we have our 6 options. We have this time we have we're not talking about singular, whatever it is, it's not singular. It's actually plural. Los precios, the prices. So again, in this case, we're not interested in the top 3 because they're all singular. We're only interested in one of these 3 at the bottom because they're the plural endings. We're not talking about we in this case. That's gone. That's out the window. The first person plural is gone. We're not talking about ye. That's gone as well because we're not talking about the second person plural. So it only leaves one option for us, and that's the kind of they part, yeah? And that's why we have es posible que los precios de las casas suban. Ya está, chicos. That's it. We've covered everything now, and I just bring those other endings back in there so we can see them. So just to summarize everything for us, it's really straightforward. I did say this many times. The subjunctive is far easier, far more powerful in terms of boosting your grades in exams than you will ever know. So two main things to remember. We have 3 steps to forming the subjunctive. Step 1, we start with the yo part of the verb in the normal present tense. Yeah, hablo, vivo, estudio. We cut off the o, and then the only thing left to do is to add on the endings, which we now know and are fully versed in are the opposite of what we would normally expect. And just to repeat, the opposite endings in the subjunctive mean that for AOR verbs, they all have an E in them. And for EOR and the IOR verbs, they all have an A in them. That's it, guys. Well done. I'm delighted that you've got through this now. If you are following the series, this is your second video. So you've seen all of the uses, which I did say was definitely the most work of this topic. You've seen now how to form the present tense of all regular verbs. You don't need anything else. You don't need to know anything else now to form any regular verb of the subjunctive in Spanish in the present tense. There's 2 more kind of things that you have to cover, I suppose, to really nail this whole topic. One is the stem changing verbs or the radical change in verbs, and then the fully irregular verbs. Bueno, chicos, muchísimas gracias por la atención. Guys, thanks very much for your attention in this video. I really hope that it's clarified the subjunctive for you a little bit more. It's brought you along your journey to mastering the subjunctive. There's absolutely no reason in the world why you shouldn't master the subjunctive if you're a Leaving Cert student. To, I suppose, crown this tutorial, coronar clase, to crown this class, I've left a link below in the description where you can head across and test your knowledge, test your understanding in a very short quiz. It only takes about maybe 4 minutes to do the quiz, where you can actually roll your sleeves up and get stuck in yourself. Bueno, chicos, if you have more understanding, more clarification and more knowledge about this topic than you had at the start of the video before you came in to this tutorial, could you do me a favor? Un favor, por favor, a favor, please, and just go down below the video and just tap that like button, please, because it's very important. Lets me know that you would like more of this kind of stuff so that I can help you along your journey to really achieving the best that you can achieve, the most, your maximum in your Leaving Cert exams. Bueno, chicos, estudiantes fantásticos, nos vemos en el próximo video. Adiós.